Good evening. You're right on time. That's always a good sign in a person. Now, please make yourself comfortable. Take a seat in my office. There's much to discuss. And if you are truly curious, I believe you'll find what I'm going to tell you very interesting. People know me as Sherlock Holmes, the world's first consulting detective. I've solved dozens of cases, some small, some grand, many strange. But you may not know the full story, not just about me, but about the man who created me, the man um, who wrote my stories, the world in which I was born into, and the people who walked beside me in these pages of fiction and life. Let me begin at the very beginning. The man who brought me to life was named Arthur Conan Doyle. He was born in 1859 in Edinburgh, Scotland. He trained as a doctor in Edinburgh University, and while studying medicine, he met a professor named Dr. Joseph Bell. Bell was not an ordinary man. He could look at person and instantly know where they had been, what they did for a living, and what troubled them. All by observing their clothes, their hands, and even the way they moved. Now, doesn't that sound familiar? Yes, Bell's sharp mind and logical thinking were the first spark that led Doyle to imagine a detective like me, not a man who guessed, but one that observed, one who saw what the other missed, one who used the logic, not the luck. Doyle was a man of reason, like me, but also of imagination. He worked as a doctor for a while, but the pull of writing was too strong. In 1887, he published a study in scarlet, just like the color of the shirt that I'm wearing. In this story, he invented me, he brought me to life, and he introduced me to my best friend, Dr. John H. Watson. Now, let us pause and think about the world we lived in. Now, still remembering it, I had such great experiences, but even bad ones. The Victorian era was a time of power, progress, and problems. Even with the many problems that there were in this society, we can say that this was the peak of the British Empire. Queen Victoria ruled the British Empire, which stretched across the globe in various continents. Cities like London were growing quickly. Factories, railroads, and machines were changing everything. I still remember the first trains on the new railroads that were built. Here I will show you a picture that reminds me of that times. Nice. These were nice times. People believed in logic and reason. And they would think that thanks to these knowledges you could solve any problem. But the truth was more complicated. Behind the proud the proud buildings and shiny machines, there were also dark streets, poverty and crimes. Children worked in factories. Families lived in one small room. Suffering was everywhere. And often the poor ones were blamed for the situation in their were. Police tried to keep order, but they didn't always have the tools to or the knowledge they needed. That is where someone like me came in. I saw what others didn't saw. I noticed the details: mud on shoes, ink on sleeves, scratches on pocket watches. From such things I could read the truth like a book that others had never learned to open. Doyle, my creator, wrote stories that reflected this world. He didn't write just to entertain. He wrote to show that the world can be understood and the truth can be found through observation and thinking. He was also a man of action in real life. Doyle helped innocent people who had been sent to prison unfairly. He fought for justice outside of fiction, just as I did inside it. Cases like George Edgy and Oscar Slater were solved not by the police, but by Doyle's careful study and determination. He even wrote letters to newspapers and changed the courts. Quite bold, would you say so? Later in life, however, Doyle changed. After his son died in the First World War, Doyle was full of grief. He turned to spiritualism, the belief that we could talk to the dead. I must tell you, I never believed in such a thing. That's not my field. Ghost, believing in card reading or in scaramancy, nothing for a logical man like me. But I understand his suffering. Even the most logical mind can be shaken by pain. Also, but not me. Now let us return to the stories and the people in them. My closest friend, Dr. Watson, a man of courage, honor, and deep loyalty. He served as a military doctor in Afghanistan, was wounded in a war, and returned to London with little more than his cane and a tired heart. But when we met, something changed. He became not only my companion, but the storyteller who solved the world who I truly was. Watson wrote with warmth and admiration. He made me seem, how can I say it? He made me seem almost human. He described my habits, how he played the violin, when I was thinking how I smoked my pipe to clear my mind. Can be impatient, distract, even rude. I dislike routine. I get bored easily. And in those dull times, when between cases, I've been known to experience with substances. But the game when the game was difficult, there I start to play. And during my cases, I put my heart, my soul, and my mind in these puzzles. Of course, no great detective is complete without a great enemy. Mine is Professor James Moriarty, a brilliant man, a professor of mathematics, and also the mastermind behind some of the worst crimes in London. He's clever, calm, and absolutely ruthless. He is in a certain way my dark reflection. The same intelligence but no morals. We can say we are two faces of the same coin. Our final battle took place in the beautiful mountain of Switzerland. To be more precise, thing that I very like and that I point of often is that this happened in Reichenbach Pfalz. And this fight could have been the last one for us both. Then I cannot forget about Irene Adler, the woman, how I like to how I like to call her. She was unlike anyone I ever met. Smart, brave, and entertaining. In a case where I was thinking that I was 2 steps forward of everyone, she tricked me. She fooled me. And for this I admire her. In a time when women were not often seen as equal, she stood above the rest. We can say she was a true emancipated woman. Now, after all these stories, what remains? People still read my adventures today, or if they don't read them, they see them on TV or on their smartphones. But why is this so? Even if these stories were wrote more than 100 years ago, the logic and the mystery that is behind the stories of Doyle are still in these days very, how can I say it, very present. And we need to thank him even for his characteristic writing, because he wrote in a very smooth way, if I can say so. He was very detailed, he put logic, and thanks to Watson that wrote me as a human and that put the humanity and emotions in my logic thinking, creating a opportunity to make me seem more human to the reader. This made my stories iconic and timeless. Another important factor is that even in the society of today, where many things changed, and in our countries like Scotland, England, or Italy, children don't work anymore for labor, and there are less families that live with a big number in small rooms. There are still many injustices. Maybe this is another factor that made my stories timeless. And my stories are interesting too because they're a mystery to solve. Of course, I solve it before that you even read the title of the book. But step by step, you are going to solve with me these cases. So now you know where I come from. I'm a man of my times, yes, but also a man beyond them. And as long there are mystery in this world, I will be needed. And always remember, when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. So, thank you for watching my video. The only paper I had was this one, and I didn't even use it. These were the things I wrote down. And if you see me sometimes play with my eyes, it's because the webcam is on this side, but the monitor is on this side. So sometimes I watched myself in the monitor. I hope you enjoyed my video and you learned a little bit more about Arthur Conan Doyle and his masterpiece Sherlock Holmes. And see you in class.